Hello, everybody. This is Vince Russo, and I am here. Ben and Steve, you're going to kill me for this, but I am here with America's favorite conspiracy theorist, the great Greg Miller, my nephew. I am proud to call Greg my nephew. But, bro, let's pull no punches. Whether you're my nephew or not, you are going to get a massive promo cut on you if you get me thrown off of YouTube for anything you're about to say.
Well, look, man, they're so vague with this stuff. I wouldn't even know what's going to get you cut, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you a question about that to begin with. Listen, you talk any kind of conspiracies on YouTube or social media, like they flag it, they ban it, they take it down, bro. I know why they're doing it, but like what I don't know is, have they ever given like an explanation? I mean, they have to give a reason for. Well, if you talk about anything conspiracy, we're going to flag you. We're going to pull you down. We're going to delete. They've got to give some kind of an explanation for it. What did they say?
I've seen different things on different sites, right? Because you got Twitter is a big one these days. They're largely censoring conservative right-wing voices. You've got Reddit has gone crazy with, the most vague thing I think I've seen has been that you've violated community guidelines. So that might change at any given time, right? Whatever they are considering to be their community guidelines. Because on Reddit, that's supposed to be like hate speech. But I've seen you can't point out facts without being, sunk because of hate speech, quote unquote. YouTube, I think they've made a bigger point about saying that they want to pull stuff that goes against WHO guidelines, right? When it comes to coronavirus stuff.
Right.
So you've even got guys now. I mean, honestly, for me to say coronavirus is that may or may not flag you because they've got AI programs that run through these things to find just keywords, and then they'll start looking, at whether or not it's something that violates. But dude, I mean, it as far as there being a good reason, because to me, there's no good reason to censor anybody. Frankly,
I agree.
I mean, this is if you wanted to have access to information so that you can make the best decision about whatever, which includes like being able to call out BS when you see it. So if there's some voice out there that they're really that concerned about, I think the best thing is just to let them speak and let people, you got to figure it out for yourself.
Right, bro. You got to ask yourself at the end of the day. Here's the question you got to ask yourself when people are getting, muted and whatnot. You have to ask, what are they afraid of?
I don't know, man. I mean, really, if we're going to go, if we're looking really at the agenda kind of at play or the narratives that are being supported, it's clear that there's a huge bias toward the left-leaning politics, right? So if they're afraid of anything, I guess it's just people having some access to things that question the narrative overall.
It's crazy.
But dude, I mean, there are backlashes to this because I think it was Laura Loomer is one of these congressional candidates, I think, or maybe Senate candidates. I should be clearer on these. I think she was in a Florida district. It was a largely Democratic district. She's a Republican running for this thing. She was banned on Twitter for having something to say about Sharia law or something like that. And Ilhan Omar is I think she's the Chicago congressman, senator, one of the two. And she had something to say about it. They banned her on Twitter. She was gung-ho in winning her race, and she just won by like double digits. She really killed it. And this is kind of one of these backlashes because this means now it's as though banning her from Twitter was supposed to be the thing to shut her up. And clearly that wasn't enough. And right. Now you've got people trying to rally to get her back on Twitter because this is now going to be potentially one of our representatives. You'd like to know what she has to say to the people. And I think it's one of these things that's going to have to be dealt with eventually because that's a pretty huge problem. And frankly, I mean, for anyone that was against her policies or against her running, they've been out of the loop. They don't know what she's been up to. So if you really had some inclination to make sure that she wasn't going to win, you've had no idea what she's been up to because they banned her from one of these big platforms.
Yeah, Greg, I think it's human nature, man, because think about this, when you tell people we're going to ban her, we're going to mute her, bro, you know what human nature is. Well, then we want to hear what she has to say.
You lend credence.
Bro, I kind of start feeling that way, like about Trump, man. When you continue to hear the burial of Trump, I think you get to the point of some people, F you. You don't want him, we want him. I really think that it can backfire on you. Bro, I think they just, there comes a point when they don't know when to stop, and they keep laying it on and laying it on and laying it on. And then it gets to the point of, okay, bro, enough already. And you turn people, it works against you, bro. You're going to be very, yeah, right. Exactly. Bro, you're going to be very proud of me.
What you got?
I sat there for an hour and 20 minutes. I watched this Shadowgate.
Oh, nice.
But bro, I got to tell you, this thing was so deep beyond my comprehension. I got the gist of it. I understand the gist of it. But man, bro, this thing was so beyond my comprehension. Yeah. Greg, I want to ask you one thing. And bro, you're a genius. I'm a simpleton. That's why we do this show. So I ask you the simpleton questions. You give me the genius answers.
All right.
The one thing I got from Shadowgate that I think we already knew, and I think everybody listening to this show knows, and if you guys don't know, I mean, literally you're living in the Stone Ages. Bro, through cell phones, through, Siri, through all that shit, through imaging when, oh, bro, what's your face? Show us your face, bro, and then you'll be able to get in your phone. Bro, they have all the documentation, the material, the information they on just everybody in the United States. If you think they don't know all your information, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you something, Greg, like I look at this and I'm like, okay, from where I sit, like how bad is that for me? Like, okay, bro, so you know everything about me. What are you possibly gonna do with that information, like to affect me? Because, bro, like let's face it, man. Them gathering all this information on all of us, these mini corporations that are being set up and whatnot, and you'll get into it, bro. Let's face it, it's not us they want,
Sure.
I mean, but on the other side of the coin, bro. If there are bad people out there, and there's a lot of bad people out there, bro, they're tracking those people. So they can put a kibosh on some really bad things that could potentially happen. So like the question is, do I mind trading my information, which I really don't know what they possibly can do with, other than, send me ads to buy Geritol or something. Is that worth them really able to focus and zero in on the bad people out there? Now, listen, we all know with Shadowgate, bro, that's all about political gain, and you could talk about that. But I'm just talking about our information, being shared, and our information is out there. It's being accumulated. Is that more of a pro or a con, Greg?
You got to appreciate that behind this type of data collection is a somewhat benevolent idea that the more data you can gather, the more you can start to see patterns, right? So they've got profiles for, what it looks like when somebody's being radicalized online, for instance, and, might be a potential like terror suspect, that kind of thing. You've got the potential to digitize medical records, which can help enormously, right? If you're traveling overseas, whatever, you end up in a hospital, they can have instant access to your stuff. You could potentially have like your doctor back home looking at your records in real time. That kind of thing is a potentially benevolent use, and I think I want to say that is the good part of this, that the more they have about you, the more they can actually help. But dude, throughout history, this has constantly been a problem. I always draw this dichotomy between systems and humanity, because of course, like when it comes to something like learning to read or teaching kids to read, you can watch this slow progression from sounding it out the way that most of us probably learned. Well, and this is the thing. I don't even know if that's how most of us probably learned, because what happened is, in order to make it more efficient, because you've only got so many teachers, you've got so many kids, they came up with a method they call the sight reading method, or the sight words. And so I think my nephew, I've seen, he got flashcards basically of English words, which kind of leads you to start looking at a word like an icon, like a Chinese character or something like that, instead of sounding it out. 'Cause English is a phonetic language. It all just comes from the sounds that these letters make, right? So in order to make the system look like it was doing better, and again, which is, I think, a benevolent thing. It's supposed to be helpful. It's supposed to teach more people over a larger span, with less teachers, whatever. But that system clearly is at odds with humanity, because this is not how people learn to read. And often when it comes to schooling in general, I mean, you're not learning the way that people actually learn, because every one of us learned to speak a language without knowing how to read anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's whatever. It's like they're trying to hack some part of our humanity in order to make the system more efficient. So I have a hard time with this overall, because I do want to believe that there's some good that's potential, there's some potential good in the data collection, but I think this is always going to be the thing that, as soon as you systematize something, humanity suffers in some way. So you might not know how they could use this data against you. I think one of the scarier things here is when it comes to like DNA evidence, because I happen to have done a 23andMe, because I'm really interested in the genetic data in general. It helps, you can look at your health statistics and see if you're at risk for anything like that. But that means now my genetic information is on file somewhere, and God forbid they ever want to accuse me of a crime or something like that. That kind of stuff just happens in documents. They might not even have to collect anything. I mean, there's a lot of gaming of the system that happens. So I don't know if I'm smart enough to really figure out the different ways you could use this type of data against people. Because, I don't know if you've seen deep fakes. This is this whole thing, man. It's wild. You got to look up some YouTube videos. It's the idea that you could have someone's face on video, like a pre-recorded video, but superimpose a new face on top of it. So you'll see this, popularly as a humorous thing, like they'll put Snoop Dogg's face on, Beyonce or something like that. And it's kind of funny, but in the sort of nefarious realm, that means you could have somebody speaking for the president of the United States, for instance, and release a video that's like calling for war or whatever. Right. So there's some, that's coming from data collection. That's coming from AI, from artificial intelligence. It's coming from the algorithms that are being worked on. I mean, there are companies now working on ways to figure out if this is a deep fake video. I think in the DNC recently, Joe Biden gave his final speech. There's some people wondering if I'm looking at a deep fake, because he kind of seemed like he was actually a little more coherent than he has been.
Yeah.
So, man, I mean, that's the problem with this. I don't think a lot of us are not evil enough to realize what evil can do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly, bro. And you don't even want to comprehend that. You don't even want to think about it. Man, Greg, the buzz I just keep hearing and keep hearing and keep hearing, and maybe you could break this down to people and explain it to them. AI, 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 AI. I'm hearing that, everywhere. Can you really break down to people like exactly what's happening with artificial intelligence, where it's going, why that's the big keyword right now? Can you just break that down into a form we may be able to understand?
Yeah. Again, when in the innocent realm, you can do something like, I saw a great project online. This guy has a camera on his cat door, and he wanted to basically have the cat door not open when his cat was about to drag an animal inside, right? So that's if your camera recognizes that an animal is about to get dragged inside, it locks the door. So what he had to do was train his software, this algorithm, this piece of artificial intelligence, trains it on thousands of images. So he takes a bunch of images of just the approach to the cat door is just empty. It takes images of the cat approaching the door, it takes images of the cat leaving the door. So you've got thousands of those images, and then you get the few images where the cat's about to drag something inside. So it takes training, essentially. You train a piece of software to just get used to what an image is supposed to look like. And then if something anomalous happens, it'll trigger some event. So I mean, that's one kind of innocent form of this, and that's a really cool prospect, right? You put a webcam on your cat door, you can keep an animal from getting into your house. It's pretty great. I've seen this with, I worked for a company that flies drones that we do electrical inspection. We look at transmission lines, and it was specifically in California because, you see the problems they have with wildfires. So they were making sure that they didn't have any, broken transformers or insulators, whatever, trying to find if there's any of these thousands and thousands, like tens of thousands of electrical assets. And instead of having engineers pour through these images, which I think they are still doing because you still want like a professional looking at the images, we're out there just taking the images and then we upload them to their servers. At its best, what they could do is then run those images through an algorithm that can recognize when there's a problem. So that means that somebody does have to sit first and show the thing, like, this is what a problem looks like. And then, you can just filter through thousands of images that are finally able to tell you when there's a problem. So this is the thing, again, when it comes to these data sets that they're gathering on all of us. Because, dude, honestly, they've got data on if you have facial features that might mean you are a potential psychopath, so your Face ID thing. And that's like, it's a kind of a pseudoscience, man. I mean, I would, I'd welcome any more information on that kind of thing. But this is kind of, again, one of the things we're up against here is that they can spin science to kind of let it do a number of things. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's artificial intelligence. You'll see it also you can train a computer to learn a video game through trial and error. So you'll see like a Super Mario thing where it's just the computer playing the game and it fails thousands of times before it realizes, oh, that's an enemy, or that's a block that I have to jump over, or whatever. So again, I'm probably not evil enough to recognize what else you could possibly do with that kind of stuff.
Right. But there are evil minds that can, and those possibilities
man.
are probably endless. Well, bro, what's on your mind these days? What got your interest this week?
My biggest thing, man, I've been talking to an old buddy of mine. We've been kind of shooting articles back and forth. And I got caught by an article recently. And by that, I mean, I didn't give the time to the article. I read the headline. I processed it the way that I tend to process it. I realized he didn't expect my reaction. So he says, like, hold on, did you read the article? Did you go through the thing? Because this is one of the things we're up against right now, is this culture or this economy of inattention. So of course, there's constant companies vying for your attention in a number of ways and hoping to get you to click the thing so they get the ad revenue. This is how news corporations are functioning these days, is that they know if they piss you off with a headline, you're more likely to share that article. And that's clicks, that's ad revenue. This is like a whole new economy of journalism that seeks to piss you off, basically, because that it'll keep you engaged for longer. They know this on Facebook too, man. It's wild. So they know if you're angry that you'll engage for a longer period of time. They also know, so again, when it comes to data, they know that the average person spends, I think, 15 seconds, reading an article before they might share it or something like that. But it's very rare that they're going to get like 15 paragraphs down. Mm-hmm. If you go 15 paragraphs down, you're going to find that little thing that they didn't want to tell you in the first couple of paragraphs.
Right.
So the article I'm referencing, in fact, there's a 15-year-old girl that was, the article will tell, or the headline anyway, will tell you that she was jailed for not doing her online homework. Right. So that's like, I was pissed off. Right. That's a state overstepping their bounds. And I hate public education as it is. You go a little further down and you realize she's in juvenile hall for biting her mom's finger and like pulling her hair. And she was an absolute behavioral case. So she's in this position for a judge to be saying, look, part of your probation was supposed to be you do your homework and you maintain. So if you're not doing your homework, this was part of the agreement. This is, it is kind of you can get very wrapped up in just the headline. So this is like this new phase that we're in of, like, I don't know if you remember Marshall McLuhan's line, the medium is the message. The idea that like how the message is sold to you, whether it be through photo or video or whatever, is almost more important than the content of the message itself.
Right.
This is like the headline is the article these days, that kind of an idea that they're expecting that the average person is not going to actually look into anything. That, in fact, so much of what biases these different news corporations toward one direction or another is how they're going to spin that thing. So the biggest one today is I don't know if you've kept up with Portland and Seattle and these riots, because of course there are probably people out there who are not trying to burn things down and not trying to necessarily defund the cops, but there is this group that's taking advantage of this, knowing that there's a First Amendment that this country really does value highly, and they can take advantage of the fact that there are people out there who are trying to protest for, whatever it is. And I support protests, but this is what they're hiding behind, right? It's like a guerrilla warfare tactic. So whether or not you see a news outlet refer to protesters or rioters becomes a really big part of this bias. So this is a phrase or a term that you'll hear. They're called emotive conjugates or Russell conjugates. It's based on Bertrand Russell. I think he used to talk about this, because if you're going to tell a story, your description of the subject might, you might talk about Bill Gates as a philanthropic everyman, or I don't know, you might find some way to bias it in a positive direction, versus the conjugate of that is like this megamaniacal multi-billionaire. So I don't know how well evolved our minds are to deal with this kind of thing yet. And this is, again, I think, the importance of not censoring people and being able to look at multiple sources and see like, oh, well, clearly here's the bias for this particular news outlet, and here's the bias for that one. Reality is probably somewhere in the middle. But if you're only ever getting one side of the thing, man, I mean, of course, you're always just going to be walking around thinking that, like, so I'm biased toward not really liking public education, so I'm going to read a news article headline and not give it the time and not kind of consider the nuance of the story. And I'm just going to take it in one direction. And if I weren't more careful, I'd be sharing that stuff and trying to, people be pissed off about it, and these corporations to get more ad revenue for the clicks. So that's a pretty big part of this, man. I think that it's is like a question of what's happened to our language, because things are getting very polarized, and I think a lot of it has to do with this tendency. And I don't know what's made it worse lately, other than the fact that legacy media like newspapers and magazines and that kind of thing, they're dying. They're Blockbuster in a Netflix world. And I don't think they've got another means to survive if they're not taking a look at the psychology of their readers and trying to manipulate it as much as possible. So you bring up Donald Trump, right? Because I didn't vote in the last election. It just seemed like such a circus to me. I wasn't really paying attention to much. I couldn't have any part of it. What's really starting to get me to look at Donald Trump is the fact that there is so much hatred for the guy, right? And you eventually start asking yourself, like, wait a minute, like this, it cannot be that this guy is like this Nazi fascist. Come on, like he got voted in for some reason. I mean, there's something I'm probably not looking at here. You start watching his actual press coverage or his press.
Bro, I got to tell you, like that has happened with me. In the wrestling business,
sure.
the majority, the minority with the loudest voice, they made a case against me that for years and years and years of Vince Russo was A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Yeah.
And then, bro, when I started podcasting, like especially 4 years ago, people, well, wait a minute, whoa,
yeah,
we listen to him now, we see him. This is not the guy you're talking about. I just want to break it down to because, bro, there was a very important point. The one point I walked away from with the that documentary Shadowgate was Trump was offered the same service.
Yeah.
To gain a unfair advantage. And basically their deep throat said, bro, he turned it down. He said, no, Trump was the only guy that said, thank you, but no, thank you. And I got to tell you that really stood out to me, that holy shit, man, there is such a dirty, filthy game going on. He knows all about it. They offered for him to get in on the game, and he said no.
Yeah.
Like I saw that and I was like, but go ahead, continue.
Well, listen, I mean, relative to that, you can find him, I think in like 2015 or something, they interview him about Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't know if this was, I mean, Epstein was, he was arrested in like 2006 or something like that for this initial thing. In 2015 or so, they've got Trump on camera calling the island a cesspool. And he's like, he says, ask Prince Andrew about it. He'll tell you about it. And I think Virginia Roberts is one of the victims that's come out recently. She said specifically, like she saw Donald Trump there, but that he was always pretty cordial to them, that there was never any funny business. So it's kind of, again, this is one of these things you're going to find plenty of memes and BS on the right that or on the left that's trying to say that, of course he was on the flight logs and he was on the island.
Right.
It's coming from him. He had no problem saying like, no, this place was a cesspool. And
Greg,
this is, dude, when it comes to this guy having been part of popular culture before he was president, how much do you think he saw that now they are just
bro?
That he actually has some power?
I've been saying this for a long time, with the Illuminati and the deep state and all this, bro. I'm telling you, like, I think this guy is trying to communicate with us and tell us things and without telling us. And bro, he came flat out, bro. It was a week ago. And I'm sure you saw this where at a press conference, he goes, there's a lot of people that are mad at me. There's a lot of and bro, he said, you may not see me around here much longer.
Yeah. He's like, you might not see me for a while.
Remember that you may not see me for a while. And bro, like so many things with everybody wearing the mask, but not him. And I'm like, bro, I'm just picking up on these things like, bro, he's trying to subliminally tell us things that he may not be able to just come out and say because it may be a matter of life and death for him. Am I reading too deep into that, Greg?
I don't think so, man. Because again, I can't really justify the kind of anger and nonsense that I see coming from like the Hollywood left to really. The only explanation in my mind is that they know he knows some things about them that he wasn't supposed to be president. I really think that they really didn't think it was going to happen. So I get bogged down too in whether or not that in and of itself is part of the story that we're being told, right? That he wasn't supposed to make it. I don't know. But if we're going on the fact that this is a guy that, he lived the American dream for all intents and purposes, and he's now in a place where he can actually start to do some good for the people of America. That means not taking the bribes. That means not playing games with big pharmaceutical companies. Because I think that's what he had to say, or that's what he had done right prior to that speech he gave when he says, I might not see me for a little while. It was lowering prices on all sorts of drugs, big ones like insulin and EpiPens. That's been a problem for years. I mean, people need that stuff to live. So that means now there are doctors, there are big pharma agents, there are politicians that are not making money anymore. And consider the fact that if they really didn't think he was going to get into office, they were hedging their bets on another Clinton presidency, knowing that this is somebody who's going to play ball. They probably lost money just because he was elected, and they now all of a sudden, like, a bunch of these business deals probably aren't going to go through, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, I mean, the guy is, you've seen him, right? I mean, this is like, he knows entertainment. He knows kayfabe. Like, he knows like, recently he pardons Susan B. Anthony. So she's a suffragette. Like, I think it was like the 100-year anniversary of her. She got arrested for voting when she wasn't supposed to vote as a woman. So as a figure for what you would figure the left would be really into, right? That's like a feminist thing.
Right.
Now they're forced to demonize Susan B. Anthony because Trump is behind it. They just cannot stop doubling down.
Ben Hameen talks about this all the time. Eventually, they're gonna eat their own, and that's what's happening, bro. They're eating their own, and they did not realize that. And I think you're starting to see that across the board, bro. When you're looking at like Ellen, and you're looking at like the disappearance of Oprah. Like,
Yeah.
bro, like they've created an environment where they are starting to eat their own because they've backed themselves in a corner, and now we're eating our own.
Yeah, because it just comes down to the fact that they can't just now backtrack on.
Right.
If they backtrack on one thing, then people are going to start wondering, well, what else have you over exaggerated? What else have you started
Exactly.
lying
Yeah.
about?
Greg,
Yeah, man.
break down for me this United States Post Office. What's
Man,
going on with all this? Break this down for me so we can all understand.
it's a big nothing burger from what I understand. I mean, the US, I said earlier, like, this is Blockbuster in a Netflix world. The US Postal Service has been dying for like over a decade now. They have provisions in place to remove mailboxes when there's no longer much traffic at that mailbox, right? And you can imagine they're saving fuel, they're saving time.
That has been in place. That's been in place.
Yeah, since I think like 2009 or something. It's like they whatever changes have happened since, because of course one of the things that's relative to this is this whole mail-in voting thing. And so of course we have plenty of evidence that there has been fraud when it comes to mail-in voting. And they're not just talking about absentee ballots, because that's something you actually have to fill out an application for. You sign for it. It's treated like it ought to be. And that's been done for years, right? Like military overseas, they sign absentee ballots. What they're trying to do now is, because of this virus thing, they're trying to make it a universal, like, we're just going to send out ballots and just see where they land.
Right,
and I don't know what person in their right mind could possibly think that that's going to end up well. And I would challenge you, send yourself $5,000 in cash in the mail. You really think it's going to make it to you? You're not going to worry about it in some way. So the whole game here is that they're trying to get more funding for the USPS, ostensibly under this guise of that we're trying to save the post service, because this is when people get really patriotic about the postal service, even though they're blowing up Portland right now. But it's clearly about more money for this mail-in voting thing. So as far as I can tell, there's nothing unusual about post boxes being removed, either for renovation or because they're being removed altogether because there's not traffic much anymore. And man, I don't get a lot of mail that's really worth anything to me. I have to shred half of it. It's garbage mail. And in the age of this virus thing, it makes plenty of sense that there's not really many people going out to like this, clandestine mailbox all the way out in whatever street. So they're trying to save some money. You pull that mailbox out, you don't make it part of the route anymore. That's saving some time. If they're trying to save money as a company, they don't want to waste the gas. They don't want to hire extra people to go out to a mailbox that's got like 4 pieces of mail in it. So there's nothing unusual about that. I mean, it's really funny to see conspiracy theories start to come out of the left, because this is what they look like. They're just absolutely ridiculous. You'll find, dude, and I'm telling you, like, half of the news that these people get are coming from memes. And if you dig up, like, there was one it was like a post office box with a lock on it. On the other side of the box is still a hatch. You could still open the thing, and it's in front of a post office. So like you can still go inside the post office and hand them your mail. And that's why they've got the lock on the thing. They're trying to encourage you to just come inside. If this is some worry about spreading the virus, they just want you to hand them the thing, especially if it's an important piece of mail. They don't want people driving up and touching the mailbox. I don't know, whatever it is, but it's not like those things are just locked now. It's just, again, it's really funny to see that the conspiracy theories that come out of the left, because I understand why people turn to conspiracy theories. I mean, you know that you're not getting all of the information. You realize that at some point or other you've been lied to, that you've got to kind of start thinking outside the box if you want a clearer picture of reality. And that can lead you down some roads that don't really come to fruition. But
I found out yesterday, for example, John F. Kennedy Jr. alive and well. But go ahead.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I'll look into this.
Bro, can I tell you about my USPS conspiracy?
Yeah, we got.
I got a vent. You ready
Sure.
for this? Because it involves your cousins.
Oh, Jesus.
Greg, I've got a beautiful vinyl library that's over 3,000 albums strong. The brand has contributed nicely to my vinyl collection. Greg, I hit thrift stores. I find Greg, you want to see? Bro? Yeah. Hold on, I want to show, bro. I want to show you what I found alone in a thrift store yesterday. Will blow you away, bro. These were I got these for $1 each. Hold on.
All right. Listen, guys, I can't tell you how many times I've been to thrift stores with this guy. Like when I go visit, that's like on the docket. We know we're gonna hit some thrift stores. So he's probably really excited about this.
Bro, I got these albums, Greg, yesterday. First of all, they're $1.99, but I got a wheel and deal down from the $1.99.
Yeah,
woman, I got 17 albums. I'm not paying it. You got to give them to me for $1. So she gives me all out. Bro, listen, this is just yesterday. One store, bro. These are 99 cents a piece. This,
dude,
bro.
That's incredible. And they're all in good condition. Like you check them out, no scratches, nothing,
bro.
Dude,
this, bro, 99 cents, bro.
Amazing.
This.
Wow.
99 cents.
I've seen that.
Okay.
One. Wow.
So, bro, you got to understand when I'm not podcasting, my thrifting is a full-time job. Greg, I don't even know if you know this. I got Venom vinyl online. I got my own record store online, bro. Yeah, everything I own, if I see a copy of it, I buy it. I put it in my. I put it in Venom vinyl. I'll autograph it for you, very cheap prices. Okay,
fantastic.
So I'm over 3,000 strong. I take this very serious.
Yeah.
Now you got to understand when Will comes over to visit, I like purposely got to keep him out of the album room because he goes through everything and he wants everything.
Yeah, of course.
And you know what I'm saying? And bro, listen, and that's a tough spot for me because it's like, bro, this is my freaking collection. But on the other hand, I'm his dad. You know what I'm saying? So I always think of Jim. Like Jim would give you the underwear off his ass. So I'm like, bro, these are my albums. I've gone thrifting for these out. Now you just want these.
Yeah.
So I try to keep Will away from the albums. I try to keep him away from the room. Now, VJ, on the other hand, bro, I got to tell you, VJ, you know, bro, I think the last time I saw him was a month ago. Can you imagine? This kid lives 15 minutes away. I don't know where he lives. He won't give me his address. The last time I saw him was a month ago. So, Greg, listen to me. Bro, I swear to God, this is going to blow the doors off. I'm at a thrift store a couple of months ago. Bro, I got the connection with the thrift store that when I go in, the lady knows me. So she's holding records in the back till she sees me. I come in, I give it a Iggy. She rolls out a cart of records.
That's amazing.
Bro, listen to this. A couple months ago, rolls out a cart of records. Bro, in the pile of records, still in the cellophane, Greg, for $1.99. New Order Substance.
Oh, wow.
$1.99, still in the cellophane. So, bro, of course I go home. I look this up. Bro, you can't find this album for less than $1.50.
Man.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, bro, put it in my Discogs. I catalog everything real nicey nice. Then I got everything in alphabetical order. Real nice.
Nice.
VJ comes over. He's going through the records. He sees the New Order. Takes it out. Carries on about how long he's been wanting this and looking for this. Now, bro, you got to understand something. Unlike Will, VJ never asked me for anything. Nothing, bro. Zero. Like, I can't give VJ anything. But now he's like, oh, my God, I've been looking for this. I've been wanting this. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, bro, keep in mind, never asking for it.
Right.
But then I'm thinking of Jim. Like, oh, bro. Like, so, Greg, I say, Veej, take the album. Now, Greg, you got to understand. Now the OCD kicks in. the fact that bro, because now I got to go to Discogs and I got to take it out of my library. So now, bro, the fact that I had an album in there and then I got to take it out. Greg, it's driving me crazy. And Greg, keep in mind, it could have been any album, bro. It could have been Donnie and Marie. It had nothing to do with the price. It was, I had this in my library. Now it's gone. So now, bro, he takes the album. Now, the second he's out the door, I'm online trying to replace this album. So now, bro, keep in mind, now I'm paying $150 for an album that cost me $1.99 that I would have never bought in the first place.
Right.
So, bro, finally, I'm getting online. I'm going to eBay, Amazon, you name it, blah, blah, blah. I finally find one in Canada, bro. And I had the money was different and this and that. But at the end of the day, it wind up costing me about $100.
Right.
Okay. So, bro, I get it online. I pay for it, this and that. Bro, the album never comes.
Oh, my.
I'm waiting. Bro, this whole time I know I've got this hole in my library now. So, bro, listen to this. So I'm like, the album never comes. I got to write to the guy. The guy sends me my money back. Now, bro, out of desperation, I put the album on my wish list on eBay, on Amazon. Bro, there's like 2 of them on Amazon. And, bro, it's $150. I'm like, bro, I'm throwing this on my wish list. See how much people love me. Bro, somebody buys me the album on my wish list. A brand member.
Fans, man. Great fans.
Greg, 3 weeks ago, still no album.
Jesus,
still
man.
no album, Greg. Still
That's
no
USPS.
album. Still no album.
Bro.
Freaking
saying,
VJ.
dude.
I've been cursing VJ every day. Son
I
of a gun.
mean, I'm waiting to hear that he's tried to ship it to Will or something.
Oh, bro, I swear
What
to
a
God.
nightmare, dude.
But,
Well, that's
the
the thing.
can I ask you a question, Greg?
Yeah.
Because I noticed this with Amy. And I know you. I want to get into your head. I want to hear your rationale for why people think this way, bro. The left literally had my podcast kicked off the air on Podcast One for things, bro. I did not do or say. It was all made up. 1,000% to get me to lose that platform.
Wow.
So I am not a big fan of that side. I am not a big fan of the social justice warriors. I'm not a big fan of that. So
Sure.
do I tend to lean the other way? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Bro, I swear to God, I was a big Stern mark.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, this guy has turned into, in my opinion, like such a pansy. Bro, he's buying everything about the code. Bro, this guy has not left his house since February. He's
You're
like
kidding.
bunkered in the basement.
Bro.
He's bought into the whole post office stuff. So like now, bro, he is so anti-Trump now that it's ridiculous. Bro, he basically cut a promo the other day on Trump saying the people that voted for Trump in a million years, Trump would never invite them to his vacation home in, Mar-a-Lago?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, Howard, let me get this straight. So you'd invite your listeners to your house in the Hamptons? Like, you're so full of shit, bro. You don't have people that work for you. You don't allow in your house.
Yeah.
So, bro, he has become, so anti-Trump. So, bro, I'm in the call with Amy the other day, and I got Stern on, and he goes off about Trump. And, bro, immediately she's turn it off. Greg, I make it a point of, I want to hear both sides. Yeah. I'm not going to turn you off because you're on the other side. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear why you're saying it. I'm always open to the other side. But Amy, on the other half, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And bro, I think we have a lot more in this country of turn it off rather than open up your brain, open up your mind. Let's listen to both sides here. Why do you think that is, bro? Why do you think why do you think the mind works where we just want to turn it off and believe this?
A couple of things have happened, because if one of the things you see with sports, right? People got their team. So that's, you see how people get with that kind of thing. But I think at the end of the day, we know it's a sport, and maybe soccer hooligans will beat the crap out of each other, but it's not like ideological war, right? It's just, we all love soccer and this is my team. If you've been identifying with the Democratic Party for any length of time, you might not have noticed the large swing, like even further. We say left and right all the time, right? This is all supposed to be based in liberal values, which is to say, real classical liberalism is very much about the appreciation of logic and reasoning. And you might have opinions that kind of lean further toward, the state should take care of people versus you should take care of yourself. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that there's been an underlying shift to the far, far left. And on the far, far left is basically socialism or communism. It's the idea that the state is the father, and that everything passed down to people comes from the state, that you don't have a stake all your own, that you can't start your own business because it all belongs to, this is what China is like. This is communist China. If you've been identifying with the Democrats, they're taking this large swing to the left. And if all you have is that you're a Democrat and that's all you have to follow, you're seeing basically this crazy reactionary type, because this has all been, you've heard of like Trump derangement syndrome, right? I think they've actually got like a term for it in psychology now. It's not a syndrome or whatever, but it's like Trump derangement, whatever. This need to reinforce what it is you already believe, right? Confirmation bias, they call it, that you'll tend to pay attention to the things that reinforce what you already think. And man, I'm telling you, I mean, if you look at some of these news organizations, I think one of the heads of MSNBC, somewhere he's quoted as saying, like, people don't come to us for the news. They come to us to feel good. They come to us to have that thing reinforced, whatever it is, the story they've got in their mind. This isn't news anymore. This is about, do we reinforce what it is people want to hear? Now, the thing is, I think conservative-minded people, and so this idea of conservatism is, trying to hang on to what is, kind of. And it's funny that the conservative party, the right, the Republicans, have come a lot further left than they normally are, because I think they're kind of trying to meet the middle, which is most of us, man. This unspoken, like the politically homeless that are in the middle somewhere, because they're willing to open up to both sides. They're not really trying to push like a crazy ideology. They just want their kids to be taken care of. They want to be able to eat and have a roof over their head. And for a large majority of us, that is the case. So they know that conservative-minded people tend to listen to more of both sides. So if you're conservative, you'll read conservative stuff, and then you'll read liberal stuff. Liberal people, man, or progressive people, because I hate this, that they've bastardized the word liberal. Liberal comes from, I think, the word libre, which is to read, and it's like a book, and is freedom. The more progressive-minded, left-minded people just stick to left-minded stuff. And so, I mean, I've seen this firsthand. Like, I have a good friend of mine that I really value his intellect, man, but I swear to God, I can't get the guy. I asked him if he has any good conservative news sources, like any names that he could give me, like people I could listen to on YouTube or whatever. And he says, conservatism, it's not my bag, man. Like, I just, I don't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say to that. I mean, that's because I know he's an intelligent guy, but he has just so far bought into it's this leftist ideology. It's basically a religion, man. It's basically a secular religion that it includes this identitarian politics thing where you vote based on who you identify or how you identify yourself. So, I mean, dude, it's incredible. If you really want, like, if you want to get your mind blown as to the kind of people who are out there who are thinking, go find any Black conservative voice Candace Owens is a good one. The Hodge twins are really funny on YouTube. Any of these people that have so much more to say, they are the true marginalized voices. Because you hear Joe Biden, right? If you don't vote for me, you're not black. So what happens if you do happen to have an ideology that doesn't fall far left, and you're one of these people that's supposed to be on the far left? Transgender people that are Republicans. I mean, it doesn't fit the narrative. They don't get a place to talk. It's not something that
Bro, I
people
got
aren't
a guy
comfortable
on
with it
my.
because it just
I do a show with a former wrestler, Stevie Ray. We do a show called Black and White. Bro, that's exactly who you're talking about. Exactly. This is the stuff we talk about. And I tell him every week, bro, how are you not a political, like, how are you not out? But this is exactly what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah.
Every week I just sit there and I listen to him and I'm like, God, this guy needs to be out there.
I know, man. And I'm certain, like, there are so many other people that you just never get to hear about because they don't, they're not going to just bring you on to a mainstream news source and let you talk about this confusing idea that, oh, you as somebody who's
bro,
into politics,
I gotta tell you, when you get it, like when you get it, you really start looking at these people like great entertainers that can make you believe anyway. Bro, listen, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I lean more towards the right, but again, that's only because of what has been done to me. And I'm like you, bro. I believe in freedom of speech. Don't mute me. Don't cancel me because you don't like what I have to say. And a lot of that crap comes from the left. So it's like, it's not even a Trump thing. It's not even a Trump thing. It's what you represent, guys. I'm in radio. I'm in podcasting, freedom of speech. I believe in that. So when you try to silence me, I'm going to have an issue. However, when I watch Fox News, bro, I look now at, Hannity, Carlson Tucker, bro, Alex Jones. Bro, these guys can make you believe anything. They are so good at what they do, bro. And I could see how, people listening to them, bro, you feel like a moron if you don't agree with them. But they're so good at the presentation and the facial expressions. And that's the thing, bro. When you get it and you understand, bro, both sides have an agenda. You got to understand both sides want you to join them. Bro, then you really sit back and you start looking at the entertainment. Who's the one kid, the young kid? What's his name, bro? You know, with the Shapiro. Oh my!
Yeah.
Bro, if you don't side and believe Ben Shapiro, like you're an absolute moron.
Yeah, he just makes you feel like an idiot.
Bro, that's what I love about it. When you're really looking for the truth. And in your mind, bro, both sides are trying to win you over. So everything they say, you got to take with a grain of salt. Bro, then you start realizing how freaking good these people are. Greg, I think a lot got exposed at the Democratic National Convention with no people there for a reason. Bro, normally if you're giving your speech and you're reading the prompter, because they're all reading off of the teleprompter, and you're giving your speech, bro, after you make a point, everybody stands up, claps, everybody's applause. While they're doing that, you're pausing, you're looking at what you have to say next, you're processing about the way you're going to say it and whatnot. So you're using that time when people are responding to get ready to deliver the next thing.
Absolutely.
Bro, when there were no people there, every single speech came across with A, I'm reading this verbatim, okay? And B, I have an agenda. This is my agenda. I am reading this word for word. This is what I'm trying to come with. No people there, bro. You were able to see that like crystal clear. But I think that's what some people undervalue. They're so good at what they do. If you don't understand that politicians aren't entertainers, bro, you don't have a clue. You've got to be an entertainer to be a politician.
Definitely.
But that's the thing, bro. When you go into this and you know that, man, it really helps you sift through the bullshit and make up your mind for yourself.
Yeah. And you'll start to then see the voices that are a little more like just middle of the road. And you'll sort of find those outlets these days, but I'm telling you, they just don't get traffic because they're not polarized. They're not, they're too in the middle. This is a whole joke on Reddit, man, and it drives me absolutely nuts. They call this like the enlightened centrist, as though that's supposed to be a bad thing. So it's all these memes about like, oh, well, I'm not on either side. It sucks. You're not allowed to be, you're demonized now if you're not on one side or the other.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, bro, if you're a Trump supporter, not only are you demonized, if you're a Trump supporter, you're a racist, you're a sexist. Like you've got 10 labels on you just because of who you're going to vote for.
And I'll tell you right now, like if you need one good reason, because of course, like I'm leaning that way, man. I mean, I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump, but I will tell you, it is because he's the only guy I've heard call out Marxism as he sees it, communism as he sees it, like this movement that's arising out of Portland and Seattle. This is not in step with American values. And I've never seen the amount of hatred for this country that I've seen. It's like reawakened my own patriotism. I mean, dude, I got a firearm recently. I've been really learning about how these things work and what the whole idea is. Like it's a hedge against tyranny. It's a hedge against this kind of craziness that might start to arise out of people who, for whatever reason, are pissed off at the way things are and might come for you. So they're heading into residential neighborhoods in Portland these days, man. I mean, it's starting to escalate. I'm afraid it's just going to get worse. I really hate to say that, but not to be alarmist about it, but I don't see any other way. I don't see a way that the Democrats win this thing, man.
Let me ask you this, because this is what I'm thinking. And again, bro, I get down to the simple common denominator: COVID, the pandemic. Okay, bro, when the election comes, I'm looking at one of two things. Either the Democrats win and get what they want, or the Democrats lose and now they know it's another 4 years, and bro, like just throw in the towel now and give up. Like so either way, bro, do you believe this pandemic, this COVID, do you believe this comes to a magical end one way or another after the election?
If in the the fly's hair of a chance that the Democrats actually pull this thing out and Biden wins, I think you would see it suddenly become not that big a deal. You'd suddenly see that the narrative starts to be like, oh, it's not so bad. It's the death rates or whatever. It's if Trump wins, it's gonna get worse, man.
I don't think worse. You think, bro?
Yes,
you don't think they're gonna be like,
they're gonna throw the biggest temper tantrum that you have ever seen. Ever.
Are we gonna have to be going out in hazmat suits?
I mean, dude, I think already the average person is being pushed to the brink. I don't know if you saw this guy out of Shasta County.
Yes, I did. I played that for Stevie yesterday. I played it on our show. Yes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's because you got to appreciate there are veterans out there who fought for this country. That's never meant so much to me now that I see what it starts to look like when one of these other fringe ideologies really starts to come up.
Yep.
That's what we're fighting against. Like America has this golden trifecta. We've got guns, we've got this freedom of speech, and we have people that came out of like we came out of a tradition of no kings. Like nobody can tell you what to do. You're a person in and of yourself. You're able to take care of yourself. You don't need somebody trying to tell you what to do. The republic, as it was, is like a famous Ben Franklin quote, right? A republic, if you can keep it. A republic it comes from res publica. In Latin is things public. The most the government was supposed to have taken care of were the things that are the public property, like roads, utilities. I mean, there's been fights about whether or not the internet should be one of these things at this point. Republicans, at the core anyway, are about the least amount of government possible. Don't mess with me in my life. Like I do what I want to do as long as I don't infringe on someone else. So it's been really unusual to me that there have been so many fringe, you know, like fringe minority groups like transgender people, et cetera, that want to believe that the Democrats have the best thing in mind for them, because really, I think at the core, Republicans are like, just do your thing, just do it, you know. And frankly, though, that means don't rely on the state for any part of this. We're not going to, you know, we're not going to fund whatever it is you want us to fund. Like, you take care of it yourself. You're in a place that's going to let you, you know, make money. And if you work hard and you deal with yourself and you deal with your impulses, you can actually get to a place where you just take care of yourself. You take care of your family, you do your thing, just leave other people alone. That always made the most sense to me, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm going with this, but yeah, man. I mean, this is an unprecedented time, and I swear to God, it's just going to be a massive temper tantrum. So I don't know how the commander in chief of the military, the president of the United States, I don't know how he's supposed to deal with what is basically an insurgency. So you'll see that the real subtlety here is that they haven't. I mean, there's been a couple of guys with guns, man. I mean, there's that guy Garrett Foster in Austin, Texas. He, you know, pointed his AK at a guy in a car, and the guy in the car. You don't point guns at people and not expect something to happen. They're going only so far. It's as though each side is trying to get the other to attack first, right? Mm-hmm. So even though like they're out there with shields and setting stuff on fire, like all these violent acts, there hasn't been anybody yet just like spraying bullets. Because I mean, that's going to be a new phase of this thing. I keep wondering what the rules of engagement are supposed to be, man. Like at what point do you defend yourself against this kind of thing? And there's been surges in what do they call them? Militia, you know, state militia, like the armed people. Like that's old school, man. You know, that you can't rely on the army, you can't rely on the police at some point. And that was a big part of it for me, man. Seeing that police are defunded. There was in my area, they were not answering emergency calls for a little while. That's when I started looking at getting a gun for the first time in my life. Yeah. And it really gives you a sense of responsibility, dude, because it's not a toy. It's not, you know, and the idea behind it is very serious insofar as being able to defend yourself and your family, and recognizing that there is evil in this world, and that if you're a good person, you probably don't realize how bad people can be. Oh yeah, especially when they get into mobs.
Yeah, because you're just not wired that way. You're not wired to think that way, bro. That's beyond your realm of thought.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, Greg, tell everybody, are you still using that one site, bro, that was giving you a little bit more freedom? Tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Yeah, Parler. So, you know, I was never part of Twitter. I think Twitter is still, I mean, it still has a critical mass of people that are on it. And in fact, if you're going to follow anybody on Twitter, if you really want to keep up with what's going on in Portland, you got to look up Andy No, and it's spelled NGO. He's been covering Antifa since like 2016. He's been attacked by them a handful of times. But he has constantly covered this. Every morning I get up, I check Andy No's Twitter just to see, like, here's the videos from the crazy crap that happened last night. But I'm on Parler, which it's been largely right-leaning voices. There's some liberals on there that, funny enough, I mean, they're on there just to troll, it seems. But you can find me at In the Wake of the Woke, or I think at Fighting CRT, whatever it is. You type in the Wake of the Woke, you'll find me. And then you can email me at inthewakeofthewoke@gmail.com. That's, you know, man, I mean, I think we're going to see different platforms probably arise soon that are structured a little differently, because this has been an enormous problem with these platforms. Yeah. If there's anything too that you can look at reforming, Section 230 of the U.S. Code is all about the publisher versus platform thing. And so far, things like Facebook and Twitter they can't be held responsible for the content that other people post. And this is how they start banning other people. You know, they can ban different accounts for various reasons. You know, we're just waiting for like Trump to get banned or something, because that's really, how do you take away this avenue for the president of the United States to talk to the people of the United States? It's insanity. So they haven't been able to do that yet, but God knows they're going to try.
They got to his son.
Yeah, man. Oh God. Right. Well, a couple of days, right?
Yeah, that close, man. Yep. Well, Greg, it's awesome, man. I love having you on here. I love picking your brain. I love asking you these questions, man. We do this, you know, we'll do this regularly now. People on YouTube love you guys. Follow Greg, man. You will get this wisdom each and every week. Greg, thank you so much, man.
You got it, man. Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to the next one.
Take care, Greg. All right, everybody on
Good one.
Twitch, everybody on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Follow Greg Miller, bro. He could tell you what's going on.